Good morning. Good morning. All right, beautiful. As I hit live in all the places, let's do this morning. All right, here we go. Now let me pull this up on my phone. All right. Beautiful, perfect, right? And I'll just have to share a little quick story with you. This morning we're going to be talking about opportunities and actually training our brain to recognize opportunities. And I was driving and doing some stuff yesterday, and all of a sudden the idea just popped in my head. So I was using my voice notes to do that, and pulled it up this morning to make sure I utilize the information. Hold on one second. I'm going to mute real quick. I have some allergy stuff going on, so I didn't want to cough in your ear, right? So the interesting thing is that yesterday is that I had went to Costco. And for those that maybe live in an area that there's not a Costco, I don't have a clue. It's a big warehouse where you buy, things in bulk kind of thing. And anyway, my daughter and I tend to go through quite a lot of eggs, especially if she's doing some baking and things. I'm not really the baker, but she is. And so I had gone and I bought a case of eggs. And when I got home with them and I opened up, and it's like there's like 3 layers of eggs, and they're like on one of the little pallet things, or the little egg, okay, not just regular carton, right? And when I opened it up, there were 2 that were completely busted, and then several on the top that had the tops of the eggs looked a little frail, like they could bust really quick, right? They were almost see-through at the top. And so I thought, oh my gosh, this case of eggs was $14, which is pretty doggone good considering a dozen eggs in some places can be $7 to $10, right? Or I don't know where it is where you are, but that's where it is where I'm at, right? So anyway, I bought that at Costco, and so I decide that I'm going to take the eggs back. So I take them back, I put them in a cart, and I go wait in line, and there's this huge return line. I mean, huge. You can tell it's right after Christmas. So I'm waiting in line. I'm having conversations with the lady behind me. She's here visiting some family. We had a great conversation. And then I get all the way to the front, and took me about 20 minutes to get from the back of the line where I started to the front. And I hand the cashier my eggs, and I hand the cashier my receipt. And she says, "Oh, you bought these today?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, this is the wrong line." I thought, oh my gosh. So I have to get from that line and go to the next place. So it took a few minutes of waiting there to return these eggs. And then she ended up just giving me my money back and said, "Go get your eggs." And so when I got back into my car and I evaluated, there were maybe 6 eggs out of all those eggs that were not usable. Good morning, Carrie. Good morning. But I had spent, by this time, just the driving back over there and everything, I'd spent at least an hour of my time to change out this thing of eggs. So when I looked at the time value of what I could be doing different, it was like, I spent all this time. I should have just thrown those few eggs away and went about my business, because the amount of time that I spent taking care of that, I could have been doing something else, right? And so sometimes there's there's things that just pull us away from the list. Like I had this list of things that I wanted to accomplish yesterday, but I didn't get a lot of them accomplished because I went to Costco the first time and then I went back again. And it was actually, if you count travel time and everything, it was more than an hour, right? Then I could have been doing something else. And it pulled me away from, you get in this momentum, right? And so I'm really bringing that up is because sometimes when we make a decision to spend our time on something that really in comparison, our time is much more valuable than those eggs were. So I could have, like I said, just tossed them and been better off, right? And so anyway, that's kind of what I'm getting at is we are all the time training our brains to notice things. And so it's beneficial to notice ahead of time. But like I said, it didn't occur to me that it would have been more cost effective to just throw those eggs away. And because sometimes we tend to be thinking in little incremental pieces, like, good morning, Lynn. Great to have you here. So I know it sounds like an odd thing to be sharing for this affirmation and journal prompt today, but it is part of training ourselves. So let me go ahead and put this up for you. Okay. So our affirmation is, I'm like a treasure hunter for opportunities, training my brain to spot the golden nuggets that move my life and business forward. The more I notice, the more I grow. So see, if yesterday I had noticed that I was on starting this trajectory of avoidance almost of some of the things that I had on my list, that because the value of those individual eggs was really small compared to the time I could have put forth with my list, right? And so we want to start noticing these things before we do them. But even if we only notice after the fact, we're training ourselves to look at things differently. And I heard a speaker one time, he said that our time, because when you think about it, time is limited, right? You can't get more time. You can get more eggs, you can get more opportunities, you can get more things, but time is finite. We don't know how much time we have, and it's almost as if the older you get, the more valuable that time is, because you know that if you live to be 110, this is how many years you got, right? But when you're 20 and you think about living to 110, you've got a long time. So it's like, it's always this, there's more time, right? And so what I want us to be more aware of is where we're spending our time. Because like I was saying, that I heard the speaker when he was talking about how time is, it's linear, it's finite. It's one of the things that you cannot produce more of. So that makes your time so valuable. So he said, and I may not be quoting him correctly because it's been quite a long time since I read the book, and I don't even remember which book it came from, to be perfectly honest. But he said to value your time as if you were going to get paid $5,000 an hour. How valuable would that hour be that you spent I spent going and exchanging these eggs, because there were maybe 5 or 6 of them were not salvageable, right? So I wasted $5,000 trying to replace these eggs. Does that make sense, guys? I may not be making any sense this morning. I have no idea. But the more we can notice where the value lies in what we're doing, And the more we can notice how we're spending our time. Good morning, Carmen. Let me click over here so I can see better. Abita, good morning, good morning. Happy day to you too, Carmen. So if you got paid, and there are people that get paid this, so don't even balk at it. I mean, it can feel like that's a big stretch, right? But it doesn't matter. So if you were to be getting paid $5,000 an hour, and you knew you only got paid if you were working on something, right? If you were returning your calls, if you were working with clients, if you were talking to people to have more clients, if you were marketing, if you were doing all these things and you were getting paid $5,000 for the hour, would you really go and return the case of eggs because 6 of them were broken? No, you wouldn't, right? Would you avoid doing the things that take your business forward and help you to have more clients? No. So it's looking at changing how we're looking at things so that we recognize how valuable every single second we have is. Because, like I said, we don't know how many more we have left at all. And the older I get, the more aware of that I am. And it's interesting because, I've been single for quite a long time. And I was talking to someone the other day that was celebrating their 50th anniversary. And I thought to myself, if I met somebody today and were to join together in marriage or whatever, right? It would be very unlikely that we would have 50 years together. Because I'm 65. So it's possible, right? Depending on how well I take care of myself. And I'm working on that right now, guys, to take even better care of myself. But the thing is that each year of our life, we have the opportunity to make new decisions, to start looking for more opportunities, to train our brain to spot the golden nuggets. Because, I've shared with you before that we have, all of a sudden the number went right out of my head, 50 billion bits of information that come at us per second, right? And our brain has this amazing gift where it only allows us to see the things that are pertinent to us, right? So, for instance, and it's been ingrained into us for generation after generation after generation, and it started because, if you were a caveman and you're going about your business and you're trying to hunt and survive, you're going to be noticing the things that may be sounds of animals that might attack, right? Or sounds of animals that you're wanting to hunt, right? So you would be ultra focused on those sounds and those movements in the wild, and you wouldn't notice the little butterfly going around. You wouldn't notice all of those things because it was important for you to notice the things that would keep you safe and keep you alive, right? And so it has not changed. Oh, Carrie. Well, congratulations. My birthday's in September, but I will be happy to celebrate 65 and 66 with you. I mean, I feel better than I have when I was in my 30s. And a few little aches and pains that I'm working on. And but we know the time that we have is different from when we were 20 and 30, right? January 6th. All right. I'll have to make sure I make a note of that. I'm writing it down. So when we're looking at this, when we are begin to notice that, are aware that there's all of this information that's coming at us per second, right? 50 billion bits of information per second, because there's something emitting something all the time, sounds, vibration, right? It's all around us. Everything is vying for our attention, but our brain filters out the things that aren't important. And so the thing that is important for us to be aware of is how it filters that out is by what we believe, what we're open to, what we think about ourselves, what we think about the world, the things that people may have said to us in the past that lead us to have all these beliefs. It doesn't really matter where they come from. It's beginning to recognize that they're there. And so when you can change the things that you're focused on, your 2,000 bits that are available to you because of our major filtering system, those 2,000 bits become something that is more geared to what you want in your life. So then you will notice more opportunities. You'll spot those golden nuggets. The more I notice, the more I grow. So it's just like, I've shared with you guys before that if there's two people in a car in the back seat and they're both looking on the right side of the road, one of them has a really great outlook on life. The other person is a little bit of a Debbie Downer, or whatever you call them these days. They have a little bit of a negative view of the world and all the things, right? The person with the negative view is going to see all the bad things. They're going to see the dead animal on the street, the houses that are dilapidated. They're going to see the everything that's dead on the road, the flowers, the things. They're going to see the homeless persons. They're going to see all the things that work with that filter that they have, right? Of everything is going to hell, right? But the person that has this more positive outlook on life, and they believe that the world is out to help them, and that there's gifts in all of our challenges, and that they're open to everything, they're going to see the flowers that are still alive. They're going to see the squirrel that's playing in the yard. They're going to see the house that has this new little awning or something, right? They're going to see a totally different set of things on that same side of the road. And so when you're noticing a lot of things that it's like, oh, that makes me feel bad. Oh, that makes me feel bad. Just start coming back in and say, okay, well, where am I needing to change my focus? And let's face it, the media and everything, they tend to want to focus and share everything that is bad about the world, because that's what gets people's attention. That's what gets people watching. And the more fear people have in them, the easier they are to manipulate, right? So just think about it. If the news media told us all the amazing things that were happening in the world, because there's a yin and a yang. We've talked about this before, right? There's always things that are happening that are kind of negative, and there's always things that are happening on positive, but they're choosing to have the filter of the negative, and they share. Now they may interject, some of the shows may interject a little bit of good just to kind of make you feel a little bit better. But the thing is that they could completely fill their entire news with things that are going well, but they don't. And one of the experiences that I had with that, and I've shared it before, but I'll share it again. As a hairstylist, I had this client that came in, and she was sharing with me, and it was like at Christmas time. It was Thanksgiving or Christmas. I think it was Christmas. And she was sharing with me that her husband, who was a teacher at this private school, and she and he had to share a vehicle. and they had several kids. And so sometimes he would take the vehicle to work because she couldn't manage to get him there and get back and all this stuff. And then things would be a problem and she'd end up having to get a taxi to go do something for the kids or to go pick them up. And though, so they were really trying to manage with this one car and these children and his job, right? And so it was at Christmas time. And so they had this, she was sharing this with me when she came in to get her hair done. And they were really excited because they had like an assembly at school, this school that he taught at. And he thought it was just we're going to be going away for the holidays and all this stuff. But what it ended up being was this assembly where they brought him on stage, and the entire school, students, teachers, parents, had all pulled their money together and bought them a vehicle and gifted this to them because they knew how taxing it was on them to figure out all this stuff with just that one car. And so they got them a vehicle, right? And so it just so happened right after this client had come in, I had another client that worked for the news station, local news. And she was one of the ones that you saw on camera that was doing the report and I'm right here. You know what I mean? So she was one of those people. And she said that her producer had asked her if she knew of any good stories for Christmas that they could share. And I said, as a matter of fact, yes, I just had this client come in and I shared the whole story. And she said, oh my gosh, that is great. She said, do you think that I could get her information? So I messaged my client. She said, sure. So she met with her, she interviewed her, they filmed the whole thing. But then when it came down to it, the producer didn't air it because it wasn't controversial enough. It wasn't something that was going to break people's necks to see what's next, what's happening. And so they just let it go. And that would have been a beautiful story to share, right? But there's so much of that happens all the time, but we don't get all that information. So just be open to the fact that there's joyous things that are happening all over the world that we just don't know about, right? And there's beauty everywhere if we look. And most of the time, what have I said? That a lot of times our opportunities show up as obstacles because it's something that helps us grow and helps us become the person that can handle whatever it is that we're trying to do, right? So when we're noticing where we're wasting our time, like taking those eggs back, right? Because our time is so ultra valuable. And then we're noticing the beauty around the world and we're open to opportunities. We're training our brain to start seeing those things in our 2000 bits. So when you're going about and you're having conversations with people, you'll be drawn to the people that have that same energy about them. You'll be drawn to the people that have these ideas of the world is a beautiful place and I'm so glad to be part of it. Let me help make the world even better. You're going to be magnetically drawn to those people too. Because when you become the treasure hunter for opportunities, you are going to have more opportunities that show up in your life. And you're training your brain to spot the golden nuggets. So every time we exercise that muscle of seeing things as opportunities and start trying to assess, all right, what's the golden nugget in this? Whether it is something that happened that is good or whether that's something that happened that didn't feel so good. There's a golden nugget in there. And when you can train your brain to suddenly be going into what is the gift in this? What is the golden nugget that this is providing for me? You'll start having more golden nuggets, more opportunities show up in your life, and they won't be quite so problematic, right? Because where the problem comes, or where the angst comes when something happens, is that we feel that is a target for us, or we feel like that it's something that we've done, or maybe it's something that we deserve, or we look at it as, well, that took me way out of the arena for all these opportunities, right? But when you can start training your brain to see the golden nugget in everything that happens, oh, it's going to be amazing. And one of the stories that comes to my mind, and I always think this is a really cool story, and it's Jerry and Esther Hicks. So if you guys know who they are, and they were in their motorhome driving. And Esther was driving and Jerry was in the back, right? Reading or something. And something happened where, and they were in this motorhome a lot, traveling from one destination to another. And so they had these shelves with all these little trinkets from all the places that they had been, that they had in there. Well, something happened where Esther had to slam on the brakes, and I may be messing the story up, but this is how I remember it. So I'm going with it. So she had to slam on the brakes. And when she did, those glass shelves broke. So when Jerry comes out from the back where he was reading, and he sees all these broken shelves, all these broken trinkets. I mean, and they had been saving these for a very, very long time. And Esther loved all of those, right? But instead of Jerry saying, oh my gosh, all of these things are broken, these were so valuable because they were trinkets of things where we had been and memories and everything. No, he said, wow, look at that, something new to want. So wouldn't it be valuable if you could take that into the world with you? And so anytime something happens, you can find that bright spot of opportunity. The more I notice, the more I grow. All right, so now I think I've got a little long on the journal prompt, but let me see if it'll show up all in one space. Nope, it's okay. I'll fill you in. All right, so our journal prompt is, what's one golden nugget you've spotted recently? An idea, a moment, or a spark that could shift things forward. And we see them all the time. We notice them, but sometimes it's very fleeting. Like I said yesterday, where the affirmation in the journal prompt came from was this thought that was in my mind. And I got I was in the car. So I just told the phone to take a note and put that in there. And then a little bit later, another thought came to me. So I did it again. I asked the phone to take a note. And so this morning, when I came in front of the computer, I opened up my notes to see what those were because I couldn't even remember. But that's what happens to us. We have something that happens and we think, oh, that's great. But if we don't act on it, which is training our brain to notice more, then it's fleeting and we can't remember later. So what was one golden nugget you've spotted recently? An idea, a moment, or a spark that could shift things forward? Do you have something like that that's been happening for you? And then write about how it felt to notice it. Because the big thing is, the more you notice and hone your 2,000 bits of information to see opportunities. And then how can you keep sharpening your radar for life-changing opportunities? It's finding and noticing. So how valuable would it be? Just think about it. If you were able to every single day just going about your business, and suddenly some opportunity shows up and you notice it. You take ownership of it. And then the next day, you notice more. And then the next day, you notice more. And it doesn't mean you do every single one of the opportunities that show up, because you can filter through them as they come. But what happens to most people is they don't have a lot of opportunities showing up for them because they're not focused on it. They're doing the busy stuff, like me taking those eggs back to the store. Busy, right? And it doesn't mean that you're constantly working on your business, but you're constantly open to having opportunities drop in your lap, having opportunities where people might reach out to you and say, hey, I'm doing this. Would you like to join me? You don't know. But it's a beautiful adventure to go on trying to find out, right? Being the treasure hunter for opportunities. Thank you, Carmen. So it's all in how we train our brain and our being to see things. So let's go back to the affirmation really quick. Where are we on time? Okay. Our affirmation is, I am like a treasure hunter for opportunities. And remember, anything that comes after the words I am, ultra powerful, right? So it is claiming I am a treasure hunter for opportunities. I train my brain every single day to spot the golden nuggets that move my life and business forward. The more I notice, the more I grow. And to me, if you can't put but one little piece of this affirmation on your index card, the screensaver on your phone, your sticky notes, your mirror, whatever it is, the more I notice, the more I grow. Whew. Beautiful, right? I am like a treasure hunter for opportunities. The more I notice, the more I grow. So when you are the treasure hunter for opportunities and you're noticing and you're growing, the opportunities, I think I got some mascara on my eye, wrong eye. The more you recognize that and own that, the more opportunities and the more growth that are going to show up and happen for you, right? We get to decide every single day how we want to show up. And as we're going closer and closer to the end of the year, into the new year, it's like my main ideas, my main thoughts are about, let's be an explorer. Let's look at things differently so that when we get into the new year, as we're moving into the new year, we have a whole new perspective. We have a whole new value of our 2000 bits, right? And so as we jump into, or we slide into, or we walk into the new year, we're going to have opportunities coming from everywhere. And wouldn't that be amazing, right? And we get to decide where we put our focus, what we train our brain to believe, because we have been trained our whole life to believe the things that we believe. And it's like there's the story, and you've probably heard it before, is because we seem to we learn certain things and we just take them as this is the way things are, right? And so I'm asking you to start questioning some of the beliefs that you have. Are they really true? Whose beliefs are they? And so the story that reflects that to me is the old story of the family where they're having Thanksgiving dinner, and this new bride is having Thanksgiving at her house for the first time, and all the family's coming. And so her mom and her grandmother come to her house, and they're going to help her get ready. So she gets out 2 pots, and she said, I had the butcher cut this in half so we can cook it, because that's the family tradition. We always cook the ham in 2 pots. And then she looks and she says, Mom, she says, we've done this for as long as I can remember. Why do we put the ham in 2 pots? And she says, well, I don't know. That's the way Mom always did it. Let's go talk to her. So they go to the grandmother and they ask, why do we do this? And she said, oh, because when I first got married, I didn't have a pot big enough for the ham. So I would always cut it in half and put it into 2 pots. And so her entire life, she did that. Her daughter's entire life, and now the granddaughter was doing the same thing. But once they found out that it had nothing to do with the way the ham cooked, it didn't have anything to do with the way the ham tasted. It had to do with the fact that the woman in the beginning didn't have a pan big enough to hold it. And so they were able to walk away from that little thing, right? And there are so many things in our lives that we do just because we've seen somebody else do it, or because somebody has advised us to do it. And we need to really be looking inside and deciding what works for me, and how can I see opportunities everywhere. How can I train my brain to start spotting the golden nuggets that move my business forward, instead of the things that will hold me back, instead of the things that distract me, right? So start questioning a little bit what you believe to be a fact, truth. Sometimes it ends up it was a convenience for someone. And there are, things change so quickly. Sometimes we're getting information from someone who says, well, this is what worked for me, but that could have been a long time ago, right? Or things could be different. We're different people. So it is questioning things. It is training your brain. Yes, it is training your brain to question the things, to make sure that it is actually congruent with you and what you want to do. And you will start noticing the opportunities, the golden nuggets. And the more I notice, the more I grow. Isn't that beautiful? The more you notice all these opportunities and golden nuggets, the more you grow. And then our affirmation. And like I always say, take a few moments in silence, maybe 10 minutes. You set a timer, learning to get over your fears. Yes, Carrie. Yes. Yes. Learning that the fears were there at some point to protect you from something, and they may not even be relevant anymore, but your brain and your body are bringing them with you everywhere you go. But it's questioning, was that really true? And is it true today? Right? It's questioning. If you were fearful of, like, for instance, someone that's fearful of speaking up for themselves because when they were in school, when they tried to speak up for themselves, people didn't listen, or people didn't believe them, or whatever the thing is, right? And then they bring that into today, and now they may be, 60 years old and still believing those same things, because they never questioned from what the people were doing. Did it make it true about me? No, it was true about them, right? And so it's, questioning some of those beliefs that you have, some of those fears and the things that hold you back. why do we still do them? Right? And that's something that I help people with all the time, right? And so when it comes to the journal prompt, get your notebook out, your journal out, put the date, the affirmation in the journal prompt, and then sit in silence for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes. If you can do more, do more. But then when you come out of that moment, those moments of silence, you're going to have so much better insight of what these golden nuggets that you've spotted recently are, because those golden nuggets are there, but you might not have even noticed them yet. But your subconscious mind, your God voice, your intuition, all those things you're in touch with after those moments of silence that will help you even see some things that you didn't even recognize as opportunities before. An idea, a moment, or a spark that could shift things forward. It could come from a conversation, right? It could come from today. Who knows? And then write about how it felt to notice it. How did it feel to just notice that that golden nugget was right there? And then how can you keep sharpening your radar for life-changing opportunities? Wouldn't it be amazing, just think about it, as if we continue doing this, because it's like these thoughts are all in my mind right now as we're getting into the new year. So I have no idea what tomorrow's affirmation and journal prompt will be. But this seems to be my theme right now of noticing opportunities and questioning things. I don't know though. But what if you go into the new year and just by doing these things, these affirmations and these journal prompts, focusing on the opportunities and the treasure hunt, and you go into the new year and every day something gets your attention that is perfect for moving your life, your business forward. Where would you be in a month? Where would you be in 6 months? Can you just even imagine where you would be? Valuable, right? So I heard, who was I listening to yesterday? Myron Golden. Yesterday, he was talking about how we view our value, right? And I'm paraphrasing here because you listened to it early yesterday, so I don't remember exactly. However, he said that what is the monetary amount that you feel like you want to make per month, right, in your business? So let's say it is $5,000. He said, whatever it is, double it. So now it's $10,000. And so he said, if you made $10,000 a month, would you be worrying about some of these things that you worry about? And one of the things that I talk about a good bit is our financial thermostat, right? And so if that's something you need help with, I'll definitely reach out. I can help you with that. But one of the things he said is that if you're not making the $10,000 per month, then it's because you, for whatever reason, do not believe you have the ability. And if you believed you did, you would be making it, right? And so it's it sounds like $10,000 a month sounds like it's big, right? But someone who's making that doesn't feel big at all because they've already accomplished it. And so it's changing our mindset enough to be aware of opportunities, training our brain, not only to notice opportunities, but to feel we deserve all the beautiful glory that God has for us. Right? It's believing in us, questioning the truth of different things that we think, spotting our golden nuggets and really, really diving into them, taking note of them, taking action on them. So, have you looked at, as we're talking this morning, what is one golden nugget that you spotted recently? Can you think of anything that maybe was a golden nugget that you might not have really paid attention to, but later on, maybe you looked and saw it, or maybe you're seeing something now that you haven't noticed, right? And one of the golden nuggets for me is like, I've talked about it. I've created this program that starts January 6th. So happy birthday, Carrie. It'll start on your birthday. But it is an amazing opportunity to remove sugar and sugar cravings from your life. And Christine Strasepik, I really need to learn how to say her last name. But she's going to be helping with the program, and she's a nutritionist, and she is a chef. So she's got recipes and ideas and things, right? And then I help with the mindset around all of this stuff, because our cravings for certain things starts here, right? And then we want to move our bodies. So I've got someone who's creating some videos where we will learn to do some belly dancing. So we will have belly dancing opportunities. We're going to be talking about sugar. We're going to be talking about nutrition. And like I said, I've hired Christine to help me with some of my nutrition needs, because I'm not a nutritionist. I started as a health coach, but the golden nugget in all of that is I was just going to do that stuff for me, because I decided that this is the time that I'm going to change how I show up for myself with my health. And, as you get to being 65, it's like there are things that work a little bit differently than they did when I was 30, even differently than when I was 50. And I want to live a long, beautiful life. I don't want to be the epitome of some of these people that you see that can't even move and can't do anything as they get older. And the doctors always say, well, you're getting old. But that's not true. You are getting older, but it doesn't have to be the way your life looks. You get to choose. And I, for one, am choosing to do something differently so that I can show up as my most vibrant self, right? And so the thing is that that's the big golden nugget and opportunity that I've seen recently, is that because I was going to do this for myself, and then I thought, well, if I'm going to do it for me, maybe I could ask some people to join me. And that's when Christine just said, yes, I will join in with that. And then I've had some people that have wanted to be part of the program. I'm working on this. The Stripe thing's having a hard time. So forgive me if if you sign up and it doesn't seem to work, but I'm working on that today. So I'll be putting a post in the group in a little bit as soon as I get it all figured out. That gives you the proper link and all the things. But the golden nugget in it was I'm able to help others to change the trajectory of their health and their nutrition and their movement going into the new year, right? I could have just kept doing it for me. That would have been very easy to keep doing it for me. But there is something about doing things with the community. There is something about having more people involved, so you have some accountability, right? On my own, I might have slid a little bit more. But I don't like to look at it as sliding, basically. I like to look at it as I made a decision that wasn't so beneficial. However, I can make a better decision now. But when you've got a group of people that are cheering each other on and are doing this together, it's so much better. And some of the people that have signed up already are really, really excited about this. And so if it sounds like something that you could get excited about in the moment, then definitely keep watching. And I'm going to be doing a few lives in the next couple of days to share a little bit more about it. I don't want it to be really big. I want to kind of keep the participation level at something that's a lot more doable, where it's more intimate kind of thing. But yeah, it's amazing. And I'm actually, for anybody that signs up during December, that is paid in full, and that you're going to get one of the hip skirts that you wear when you do your belly dancing. I will be shipping that to you from Amazon. I just decided that that was one of the things, because I tell you, my hip skirt just makes me feel more belly dance-ish as I'm doing that stuff. So that is definitely one of the things that is going to be amazing. And then Christine is going to be sharing a recipe book. And and I'll be doing some visualizations, and so much is going to be happening. It's a 14-day program, so it's not a long-term commitment, but it's a long-term life change. All right, so that's my golden nugget. So let's see, what does this say? I published my first children's book by just being curious, and now I'm publishing book number 2 in the series. And now opportunities to read the book at a daycare, schools, libraries is showing up. Wow, Carmen, I love that for you. That is beautiful. And, you know, um, it is amazing when you do one thing and you feel so good about it, how other people just kind of say, whoa, I want to be a part of what you're doing, right? I'm so excited. When my granddaughter was little and I was caring for her, I would go to the daycare center sometimes where she was at, and I would go in on my day off and I would read stories, and then to the group. And then once she was no longer with me, which is a long story, some of you know it, but I still would go to the school and read to them because it made me, for some reason, feel closer to her. And I did that for a while, and then it was like, okay, I feel like I'm okay now. And then I said, I don't live as close anymore. And so if you need me, let me know, but I'm not going to be doing this every week. And so it's amazing. Thank you. It's the excitement I receive that gets me so motivated. Thank you all. Carmen, we are excited for you. Definitely excited for you. I have a book that was published. I was had a chapter in a book, and it's out of print because the publishing house is no longer around. But then I created a journal that is on Amazon. It's a peaceful journal. It's a 30-day journal. It's really nice. So I love that. And I'm actually in the process of writing a couple of books. And I have thought about a children's book that I was writing for my granddaughter. And I haven't pursued it much in a long time because it just didn't feel good. And so maybe I'll pop in and try that again, that book I was creating for her. Who knows? Maybe someday she'll see that book and recognize that maybe it was for her. Who knows? All right. So you guys have an amazingly awesome day. And today is Friday, right? So Saturday, I'm trying to think of what the time is. I think tomorrow, I'm going to do 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock. And that way I'll have an opportunity to eat breakfast before I get on, because I'm not working in the salon on Saturday. I took the Saturday off, but I do have some things that I want to do. I recommend it. Talk to Cami. Okay. She will make it easier for you to do it. Okay. I sure will. I'm in her group, but I hardly ever get the opportunity to go in there. And that's what happens when you belong to a whole bunch of groups. It's like you get a notification, but you're busy over here, and then you don't make it, right? So I will try to make sure I um, talk to Jamie B to see what she can do to help. So thank you guys for being here. And like I said, tomorrow I will be on at 10 a.m. Eastern. And keep watching, because I will be posting more information about that program that I have. And if you're wanting to come into the new year with a whole new perspective on your health and your movement and your mindset, it's going to be beautiful for you. I'm telling you, it is amazing. And thank you, Carrie. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. And in the meantime, be a golden nugget spotter. You're going to see them all day now. And I will see you tomorrow. Mwah.